So this is an absolute living hell and nightmare now. The council have approved the go-ahead for 210 million cultural heart. Although, in North Wales, multi-millions went missing. We don't actually believe that they've got a lot of this money. They sold a lot of the gold off, and we also think that they actually were accounting for more gold than they actually had. And they pretended they got more than they had. And they've just ended up... Basically, a lot of the things that the government have bought, they didn't even have the money, they borrowed it. So they're just doing what they want, basically. Yet the money they're creating and generating and borrowing is actually going to private firms and companies like Kier, Balfour Beatty, Ross Highways, all these architects. What's actually happening is they're actually making an absolute fortune out of the taxpayer, and a lot of it is being created from literally nowhere. They haven't even got the money, and the poor people aren't getting the money, and everything is getting twice as expensive. Jeremy Corbyn wants, them to be a non-profit and the taxpayer own them, which would be more money free for the people who could actually use that money for their political say in things, not these politicians. Another thing with this Cultural Heart project is this. I have been all around this country my life, right? Norwich, Bristol, York, Shrewsbury, Chester. The cultural quarter was what identified the place, made it unique to its history and past, and also, what the style of the place was. That was what the cultural quarter was, right? I know you've got they do have, I don't think they actually have, they've got arts quarters and things like that, but I don't think they necessarily had a historic quarter, as it was called. I'm sure they referred to it as cultural quarter. If I'm wrong on that, fair enough, but I'm quite sure the cultural quarter was meant to be where, there was a little bit of arts, crafts and students, but it was the traditional part of the town, the original existing buildings, right? And now our council, now part of this new globalist modern movement, is rebranding cultural as all new and modern. So once they establish the word cultural, right, everything else, they'll just, everywhere they'll just end up giving an excuse. Oh no, well, that's not what cultural is. There is no, cultural quarter. Which is what they did with the word liberal. They stole the word liberal. They shut the old council down, the Liberal Council. And the neoliberals stole the word liberal. And the word, liberal, the source, which is the Gaelic word, is the source of, life as well. The sun can be the source, but the source of life, and now Labour stole it. The problem with our area is this compared to somewhere like Dorchester. Maiden Castle has always been, that Dorset Council has been Tory the whole way through, but it's never been Labour. It hasn't actually been a Liberal stronghold, but they've looked after it and they've not gone berserk in that area. And Maiden Castle is absolutely huge. It is the biggest historic hill fort in the whole country. It's a lot bigger than Old Oswestry Street or even, Uffington and the White Horse, which is not actually in Oxford or Swindon. It's in the countryside in between. They didn't build a city next to that. With Maiden Castle doesn't sort of loom. It doesn't loom or impose over the town. The town is sort of about a mile and a half to a mile away from Maiden Castle, and it's relatively level. You can see it in the distance, and it is very big and long and beautiful, but it's not got this, it's not imposing. Now, the problem with Huddersfield psychologically is this, that the hill fort, or the big one, not the small one that they've built on, that one isn't actually near the town. It's a little bit out of town, right? But the other hill fort, the long barrow-shaped hill fort, is up above, right? And it's sort of up there, over the town. particularly, so the town, it's almost like feels below it, right? And I think the council are always feeling that they're lower than the ancient site, therefore they've got to build the town up bigger and better to somehow equal it, particularly when the council building is below Castle Hill, underneath it. So the people in the council are actually beneath and underneath the site, and they actually wanted to try build on it and write it off. And they're just building everywhere. I think they're trying to reach up. The football team in Huddersfield have wanted the town to be, just turn into Manchester and obliterate it all. The problem is that the council and all the decisions for the area were in Wakefield. It was based in Wakefield. Prior to Kirklees Council, this area was based in Wakefield. Now, something very strange has happened recently, because I've been on quite a number of websites when you can order online. And I don't mean eBay, I don't mean apps, I don't mean eBay. I mean independent websites when you order something, right? And someone has replaced all of the generic order forms. When people set up a website, there's usually so many checkout programs that people use on the website, like a pre-built checkout program. And someone's removed West Yorkshire from the list. When you drop down the menu to choose your area, West Yorkshire's been removed from it, and Huddersfield. Everywhere else is on there, and the only two places that are close on that drop-down list are Wakefield and York. Wakefield and York are the only two places on there. Now, who do you report this to when it's independent sites that are using this programme? But yet it's affecting mail order. So do you report it to Royal Mail? Do you report it to, Parcel Force? Because they're the ones who are delivering it. But it's something that's been put out there by corporate private entities onto private websites and distributed to all websites, or someone's hacked it. Now, that's in the commercial. I mean, maybe you could contact trading standards or consumer rights, but it's a business thing. I mean, we've got a department in the government that's supposed to deal with business, but they'll probably say, it's nothing to do with us, Someone needs to know about it, whether it's Royal Mail do or say something, or someone. I believe that the previous council was shut down to kill off and put an end to the Liberal movement after our ancient site and the symbol and emblem of it had been written off. Finally, it's all this has happened within the life of Queen Elizabeth. So it is actually Kirklees Council that have killed our area. It is the Labour Party and the creation of Kirklees Council, really, that has finished it off. Although, in 1954, that's really, one of the big strikes. Although they've been wanting to rubbish it all the time. Yet, with Uffington Whitehorse, everyone goes there. It attracts tourists. Everyone loves it. There's not a town built next to it. Same with Maiden Castle. And Oswestry is kind of like in between. But again, the Oswestry Hill Fort, it's not imposing on the town. And there's a lot of people there who have been campaigning with activism about it. The problem with our area is, the history is a liberal history. And the education of the area is to do with that. And the schools have not taught it. The schools have only taught Luddites, smashing up machines, canals, factories and mills. There's absolutely no education or learning in our area about our history. It's actually as if it's been erased. Yet, if you live somewhere like Uffington or in Dorchester or, Glastonbury or somewhere like that, that is what the history is. Or in Ireland or in Scotland even. It has been attacked, and now none of the local people in the area are really that bothered. They're distracted by cinemas, they're distracted by the football team, sports, And now the council is coming in with all these cultural arts and things like that, when it's actually destroying the culture and heritage. When we're meant to have Leeds, Bradford, York, Manchester, all these big cities, even Halifax. We're not short of big cities. You know, we really need to get the Green Party or the Lib Dems to do something, because they're not doing anything. And it is Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. I don't know where all this money is coming from. You know, they've just said that we're meant to be going into a recession and all the things have gone up twice as expensive. Where is the money coming from? The money is flooding out for these projects, and it is literally writing off and destroying the area. And this council should never have been based in Huddersfield. You know, it actually was in Wakefield, and this would have been, just an outer town with history and heritage that would have been protected like Uffington or somewhere like that. And I don't know who's been messing with those order forms on these websites. And it's not just one or two. I've seen it on like 6 or 7 or 8. And it's like a generic form that many websites use and gets passed around. I don't know who's done it. The nearest places on there are York and Wakefield. You know, so there's something going on. But, you know, maybe it's too late. But then again, there's a lot of criminal accusations about these councils and governments. Keir Starmer with Al Jazeera. You know, not only, Boris Johnson is meant to be going in front of the Privileges Committee. It's really been Barry Sheeman and the lifetime of Barry Sheeman where all this stuff has been done to our town in his lifetime, and he's meant to be coming up for retirement. But now we've got this Tyler Hawkins and other people who are all, they seem to get people who are in on building and development, specialise in it, rather than people who are interested in agriculture and farming and growing crops. Bill Gates is meant to be buying up all farmland all over the place, so he can grow crops. Yet they're wanting to build houses around our area. We should be utilising the farmland to save and protect around our ancient heritage. Because now, all the doctors are saying we need to eat more plants and less processed and junk food. That's what all the medical professionals are saying that now.